Tonight, Lynn Brewer takes a leave of absence from Whyalla Council as she vows to fight assault allegations, and NBN officials take to the region in a bid to dispel the concerns of disgruntled locals.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Lynn Brewer has taken a leave of absence from her role as Wyalla's Mayor for the next week as she defends herself against an assault allegation. Council confirmed the decision today while reassuring the community that it's business as usual. John Hunt has more.
Allegations of assault levelled against Lynn Brewer by the wife of a fellow councillor has put council in a tricky position as it manages the fallout. It's got on the front foot today to reassure residents the allegations won't have an effect on any of its operations. In a statement released today, council confirmed it'd been made aware of the allegations by Ms Brewer. She was reported last month for an alleged assault on Angela Antonio, the wife of Councillor Tom Antonio, at last year's Remembrance Day ceremony. Southern Cross News understands she's also been given summons to appear before court in the near future. Council says Ms Brewer is strenuously denying the allegations made against her and will fight them. However, she'll take a week's leave effective from today to seek further legal advice, but the statement's key aim was to assure residents that the show goes on. Council CEO Chris Curley says no actions or departments will be affected by the Mayor's absence. He says business will go on in the wake of the events, as it builds on what's been the best period for the city in over 4 years. It's expected Deputy Mayor Jenny Barnes will deputise in the position where needed until Ms Brewer returns. With a council meeting scheduled for the 17th of this month, a decision will be made soon on whether Ms Brewer takes an extended leave of absence.
John Hunt reporting there. The building contractor for the redevelopment of the Broken Hill Civic Centre has withdrawn its legal action against council. Patrick Reinke explains from Broken Hill.
While the Civic Centre remains closed with some 300 problems still being dealt with, there's been some good news for City Council. The centre's former building contractor, Unique Urban Built, initiated legal action against council in November last year, seeking $850,000 for work they believed they should have been paid for. However, council believes this claim was unfound and disputed it. The builder has now withdrawn its case from the Supreme Court of South Australia, but legal battles are not over yet. In a statement to Southern Cross News, council said while Urban Built dropping the legal action is a good outcome, it will continue to seek compensation for ongoing costs associated with the redevelopments. It says it is working close with its legal team to get proceedings underway. Concerns remain over ongoing legal costs and how much over budget the Civic Centre project may be, as well as when the building will be reopened to the public. 2 events pencilled in at the centre are already in the process of being relocated, with a third in May still uncertain. Council has recently hired a new superintendent to oversee the works being carried out at the centre. A completion date has not been set.
Patrick Reinke in Broken Hill there. Well, despite campaigning for an international radioactive waste facility in the past, the Premier has been reported to have changed his stance on the contentious topic. With the proposed national sites in Kimber and Hawker still up in the air, the Greens say they're welcoming the change.
Once championing the cause of storing nuclear waste in South Australia, the Premier is reported to have done a backflip. With the prospect of a national radioactive waste facility hanging over land in Kimber and Hawker, the Premier has been quoted that he opposes further involvement. The Greens are calling on him to come clear.
I'm encouraged by things that the Premier is reported to have said. He really does need to now come clear and say to South Australians whether he supports a national nuclear waste dump, or will he take a leaf out of his predecessor's book?
The Greens leader believes the state government should block nuclear waste in the region given the Hawker site is Crown land.
The negotiations appear to have become so advanced before the owner of the land has even been consulted about whether they're interested in selling it for a nuclear waste dump.
With both towns now in the second phase of consultation, Mr Parnell says the federal government hasn't made its case clear either.
The first thing that they should do is make the case for even needing a national waste dump in the first place.
Southern Cross News did not receive a response from the state government when asked for comment today. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
A national broadband network, Roadshow, is currently touring the Mid-North to help residents transition to the new service. Today, many unhappy Crystal Brook locals were given the chance to learn more about the contentious rollout.
The NBN, the government's rollout of fast broadband to communities to keep up with the rest of the world.
We're reminding people that the NBN would not be the national broadband network that it is without regional connectivity.
The Roadshow is currently touring the region, educating locals about the service and clearing up any myths. The truck paid Crystal Brook a visit today, where the service was recently rolled out.
In Crystal Brook here, for instance, it'll be fixed line directly into premises using the existing copper network.
Many residents have reported slow internet speeds and landline disconnections since the NBN was rolled out in the region. But the NBN says the cause of these issues is the fault of retail service providers.
Their equipment is plugged into ours, and quite often it might be their equipment or their modems or something to do with your in-house wiring that can dramatically impact on the speeds that you get in your home or your business.
And we came back from Adelaide yesterday and still nothing, so we are not very impressed.
Residents from across the mid-north will be given a year and a half to decide whether the service suits them.
They're given an 18-month period of grace in which to migrate their phone services and their internet services over to NBN before Telstra disconnects its service.
The Roadshow continues on to Burra tomorrow. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
After the break, Port Lincoln and Whyalla received state-of-the-art accessibility toilets to help those who need it most. Details next. The story of Port Pirie has been put on show along the Viterra fence on the town's main road. Local artists captured the photographs on display, reflecting major parts of what's important to the town.
The focal point is the stories of the Port Pirie River, everything from fishing, the history, the Indigenous stories as well. So it's a really remarkable piece of work.
It's all part of the Come See Change initiative. Whyalla Council has revamped its tourism guide. The new booklet features a new design pattern that reflects changes to Council's corporate identity. The chief of the Visitor Information Centre says it was needed as the city looks to pitch itself as a tourist destination.
Our operators are loving it, so it's a great tool to use for visitors coming in. It's got it's almost a one-stop shop, so tours, attractions, places to eat, things that you can do and see.
The guide is now available locally and in all 43 visitor centres across the state. Meantime, recent rain across Whyalla has seen the re-emergence of the pest weed caltrop. The weed, similar to pine, has spiky thorns containing up to 20 seeds inside. Residents are advised to dig out the roots and place them in the red collection bin rather than the green waste bin to stop its spread. Port Lincoln will soon be equipped with a state-of-the-art disability toilet to improve local access. The Changing Places program is part of a $1.7 million pledge by the state government to help those living with disabilities.
It's something we take for granted, the humble public toilet. But now Eyre Peninsula residents living with disability will soon have a new facility that until now only was found in city centres.
The Changing Places initiative provides for an adjustable height bench, full-size table for disabled people.
The room will also feature a hoist system and more space to accommodate carers. The Port Lincoln Council opting to build the facility in the new Aquatic Leisure Centre.
It's still in negotiations with the state government about them agreeing to this location, but we really want to put it in the indoor aquatic centre because that's where the need is most.
The new room is critical in regional communities to boost independence for people living with disabilities, but also to encourage more locals to travel through SA regions.
Even though we comply with the national standards, these changing places lift the bar a little higher.
Whyalla will also receive a new Changing Places room, with the state government chipping in $125,000 to build it.
This provides them with a dignified but a well-equipped place for them to, get themselves ready.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill water activists have welcomed South Australia's decision to establish a royal commission into the Murray-Darling Basin. It's hoped the commission's findings will force the New South Wales government to follow suit.
a commission that has been long overdue.
What it will show is that there has been a lot of water that's been illegally or legally kept up north, which has resulted in the river not flowing down the Darling.
The commission will examine the effectiveness of the existing Murray-Darling plan.
Some of those findings that come out of the South Australian Commission may in fact force New South Wales to hold their own commission, which will be a lot more in depth and will show a lot more things happen than what South Australia can get out of it.
As soon as the commission calls for submissions, the Darling River Action Group will be putting forward its 2 cents.
I have no doubt there's a lot of information that our action group could provide that probably wouldn't be found from other sources.
He hopes the commission reveals an important need for water to be kept in the Menindee Lakes to supply South Australia.
And if that does happen, that's a win for us, and it's a win for the lower Darling and the Darling below Burke.
Patrick Ryanke, Southern Cross News.
Coming up, celebrity chef Pete Evans pays the region a visit. We speak to him next. Celebrity chef Pete Evans has taken a break from My Kitchen Rules to visit his own kitchen in Port Lincoln. Pete dined with locals at the Line and Label restaurant to celebrate the Super Blood Blue Moon.
Taking a break from judging meals to enjoy some of his own.
The first night that I've had off to be able to come down here and actually do a dinner.
Celebrity chef Pete Evans relished some time off in Port Lincoln to visit his new restaurant.
We've been open 3 months and it's been fantastic. Locals are loving it, and our team here are working tirelessly to really put beautiful Port Lincoln produce out to the public.
Produce he believes is second to none, with demand soaring all over the globe.
What they're looking for is top quality, the best quality in the world, and to be able to have the access of it right here and to be able to cook with it. And sometimes caught the same day or picked the same day is pretty special.
Pete was in town to enjoy a special dinner to celebrate the Super Blood Blue Moon, and although it proved elusive, he says it's great to get away before sparks fly on My Kitchen Rules.
It's a great season, this one. We have a lot of fireworks and we have a lot of celebration. We have amazing food.
Eyre Peninsula beaches also proving to be a favourite of the culinary king.
A friend of mine, Pete Tomlinson, took me out for a paddle, and pot of dolphins swam under me, and the waves were overhead high and perfect. It was one of the best surfs I've ever had in my 40 years of surfing.
As for what's next, well, locals could soon see more of Pete around town.
Hopefully we'll do more, but if not, this is perfect.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
A Port Augusta Cricket Club will be turning their stumps pink tomorrow night to raise money for a good cause. Local train drivers and prison staff will square off in a fundraising T20 match for the McGrath Foundation.
It's not your average colour out on the field, and that's why Port Augusta's Pink Stumps game won't be an average match.
There'll be as much pink as we can, and it'll be, raising that important message about support for families who are going through a difficult time with breast cancer, as well as just bringing our community together for something that's really worthwhile.
The West Augusta Cricket Club is set to host the McGrath Foundation's Pink Test tomorrow night.
It's about raising money, raising awareness for breast cancer. So many families here in Port Augusta and around Australia would have been touched by this difficult time.
After raising thousands for the foundation last year, the club will again recruit its batting talent from the town's biggest employers.
Last year was the first time the prison guards or prison officers and the train drivers basically had a game together on a Friday night under lights and had a lot of fun.
The club hoping to raise even more this year.
Port Augusta is well known for raising funds for people or for groups who are in difficult times, and so this is just another evidence of that.
The Pink Stumps will be ready for action at Chinnery Oval tomorrow night. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Should be a great night. Time now for fishing tips.
As far as crabs are concerned, we're still running amok with those, and they're still beautiful in size. We've seen bigger ones starting to come on song really good at the moment at Port Augusta. We've also seen a lot of stuff around the creek areas in Port Pirie, so do catch well. Snapper as well, it's open season for snapper as well, so if you look at the Illusion, any of the deeper drops that you have over by Eastern Shoal, you should be able to get yourself a good feed. And if you really, really want to work hard or just laze about on the beach, yellowfin whiting from Marina Island right through to Barrows Beach. Great time to be fishing.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta to Drill the North. Well, the weather's been all over the shop, but the fishing's been pretty standard at the moment. Lots of crabs around, really big and nice and full of meat there too. Some salmon up and around Port Patterson. If you bet they're in Port Patterson, also try down around Chinaman's Creek as well. Silver whiting, basically along the shacks at the top of the tide in the mornings, out in the Flinders Channel on those big sandbanks during the low tides in the afternoon. There also have been some snook caught around Letty Spit Stick as well. There's been a couple of snapper from the Tyre Reef and also the Seabird, and haven't had any reports not near the powerhouse.
Hi, Whalers fishing report this week. There's been good numbers of snapper coming in across Whyalla, even with the slow tides we had last weekend. Early in the morning, just before sunrise on the Marrick's Tyre Reef, has been producing a few big fish. There's been the odd one coming off the Leeton Tug and some really good fish coming in from the Rip as well. Some good numbers of pan-sized snapper has started to show up along the Black Point coastline, so for the land-based anglers, get out there and get amongst them. Out on the boats also, the crabs have come in from absolutely every direction in good numbers. And again on the land-based, there's some good silver whiting down towards the foreshore and along to the Cowlards landing areas as well.
Welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Around the wide lumps there have been some nice Samson fish caught and a few kingfish up to around about the metre size. Closer into shore around Port Lincoln there have been some blue crabs inside Proper Bay and also up around Louth Bay. There's been some nice squid caught around Boston Island, and there have been a few patches of whiting inside the bay locally at Port Lincoln. Moving over to Coffin Bay, there's been some good snook within the bay system, and also quite a few garfish over that way too. Well, that's all we've got for this week. We'll see you again with more fishing tips next week.
Well, stay with us. After the break, we'll have all the local weather details with Amy, and the temperatures are on the rise.
Indeed they are, Fraser, with the Spencer Gulf in for a relatively warmer few days after temperatures cooled down this week. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back. The clouds returned in Port Augusta today with temperatures reaching 25, the same in Whyalla, while the windy conditions continued in Port Lincoln, 23 the top there. Meanwhile, temperatures are still hovering in the mid to high 20s for all other centres. Checking the satellite now, and the cloud cover over southern and central South Australia is still only bringing a few light showers and the odd storm. Patchy cloud along the coast in the south of the state. If you're planning on being on the waters tomorrow, we will see southeasterly winds up to 30 knots, seas will reach 2 metres and the sun will pop up at 6:40. Taking a look at conditions for tomorrow, and Port Augusta is in for a much warmer 31, while Port Lincoln will reach 27. Temperatures in Whyalla, Woodnut and Corn will all creep back up into the low 30s. Meanwhile, Broken Hill is in for a top of 29. Temperatures will also creep into the 30s for all other districts. Looking ahead into early next week, and the sunny days in Port Lincoln with temperatures creeping back up, 30 the top on Monday. Sunny conditions also in Cleve and tops of 31, while Woodnut can expect a 37-degree day at the start of next week. Further up the Gulf, and the warmer conditions will hang around, Whyalla reaching 33 on Monday. Temperatures in Port Augusta will hover in the mid-30s over the weekend, before also reaching 37 on Monday. Mid-30s also expected in Kadina. Port Pirie will hover in the mid-30s, while temperatures will creep back into the low 30s in Clare. Meanwhile, 35 the top in Broken Hill on Monday. So Fraser, the heat will return in the Spencer Gulf over the coming days.
Thank you, Amy. And that's the local news this Thursday. Thanks for your company. Good night.